Oh my god, dude. What the fuck? There are a lot of things hidden behind dressers in this movie. Is that like a common thing to do still? Hide things behind dressers? Do people do that? I don't know. This movie used that a lot. Anyway, I've never seen the original Crow, all right? I know of it. I understand the lore surrounding the movie, particularly about Brandon Lee's tragic death during production. But besides that, I don't know anything about the Crow beyond that it's a comic book. I don't know the story. I don't know if this dude even has powers. I don't know the tone or, I don't know anything. Naturally, I went into this movie completely blind. And after seeing it, I wish that I was completely blind. Man, I wish I never had the misfortune of watching this movie because it very well might be the worst IP-driven movie that we've gotten all year. I will have to sleep on that though because Ghostbusters Frozen Empire still exists, and I do think it still reigns supreme atop the throne of shit at the moment. But I mean, hey, The Crow is a very strong runner-up right now.
Tall, dark, and horny at 12 o'clock.
So I know there was some fan pushback when this trailer was announced, because Bill Skarsgård looks like this. And I don't know, he just looks really edgy, right? But then I did some quick Google searches about the comic, and he's pretty edgy looking there too. I'm honestly not even sure how well modern audiences would take to a character like this today on the big screen, because, I don't know, I don't really think he looks that cool. To me, he just kind of looks like Tommy Wiseau when he dresses up as the Joker. If you've seen the clip, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know, I think the internet would really clown on this guy today.
What doesn't kill you make you stranger.
Oh!
Joker.
And honestly, I actually thought that Bill Skarsgård's take on the character, right, whatever design this movie's doing, I don't know, I thought it looked cooler than Brandon Lee in the screenshots that I've seen. But again, to be clear, I have never seen the original movie. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just saying what I'm seeing with my eyes, okay? It's not that cool looking, but I guess Brandon Lee's was more comic accurate than this one. I don't know. You nerds and your comic accurate bullshit. You know this better than I do. Whatever. Regardless, the point I'm trying to make here is that I really didn't mind the look of the Crow in the new trailers. I don't really see what's to get upset about. I don't know. He just looks like an edgy dude, and in the comics he looks like an edgy dude. In the old movie he looks like an edgy dude. So I don't know, man. He still looks like an edgy dude, except it's like a more modern take on the edgy dude, okay? But no matter how cool or uncool you might think that he looks, the design of the character could never, ever possibly redeem the train wreck that is this movie. And frankly, let me just say this. This is not a movie that you or anybody else that you know should watch, okay? This movie was under 2 hours, but it managed to feel like 3. It was excruciating. If you have a faint interest in this movie at all, right? Please, by all means, still do not fucking watch it. You will be wasting your time and money. I'm sorry to everyone who put their blood, sweat, and tears into this production. Hope you all got paid really well, but please, just don't waste your time and support this movie. And I'm sorry, maybe that's really harsh to say, but I don't really think this movie needs to be supported, to be honest. Like, studios need to fucking know that they need to stop doing this shit, okay? And on that note, I just can't bring myself to talk about this movie at all in a spoiler-free setting, because this movie's ass, and I can only talk about how bad it is with spoilers. So there's your spoiler warning. I'm gonna jump around to different aspects of the movie that really rubbed me the wrong way, and if you actually, for some reason, want to give this movie your money, then click off now. Otherwise, let's just get into it, all right?
You're spoiling it! You're spoiling everything!
So, right up front, I knew something was very fucking wrong with this movie. Within the opening seconds, the opening of this movie is so strangely put together and so strangely edited. And frankly, I'm not even sure it does anything for the movie to begin with. Maybe it has to do with a comic or as part of his origin story or something. I don't fucking know. The beginning of this movie is him with like a horse or something. And I, for the life of me, couldn't understand where this fit into the narrative at all. I didn't see the point of it. I was like, what the fuck is the point of this scene? It doesn't come into play later. It doesn't come into play when it was on screen. I don't know. So I was already immediately put off by the movie in the opening seconds. And that at all wasn't helped by the characters. To be frank, I didn't like a single performance in this entire movie. I hated almost everything that was going on with every character. Bill Skarsgård, who plays the titular Crow / Eric, I guess that's his name, delivers what might be the worst performance of his that I've ever seen. To be honest, it seemed like he couldn't have given less of a fuck about anything that was going on in the script. This seemed like he was kind of just taking it for a paycheck, which I get it. A lot of actors abide by that one for you, one for me type mentality in the industry. I get it. And shit, man, maybe he really did like the script and he wanted to be a part of this. I don't know. I'm just assuming. But he just sort of says his lines,
I'm gonna kill them. Every single one of them.
Oof, oh boy. There's no oomph or sauce to anything that he says, and Someone's outside right now letting their dog take a shit on my lawn. I can see through my window. It's like the personification of how I feel about this movie just manifested itself right in front of me. This dog just taking a fat shit. What was I talking about? Yeah, okay, that's all I can really say about Mr. Bill, right? He's got some good physicality in the role. I mean, he looks really in shape, right? And the action scenes are believable for the most part with him. Though that isn't much of a surprise because he's got really good physicality in that other movie he did this year or last year or whenever the fuck it came out. Boy Kills World, whatever that is. Yeah, that movie. Same could be kind of said about his love interest, right? Shelley, who is played by this person. I don't know how to pronounce that. FKA Twigs. That can't be her real name, right? I don't know how to pronounce that either. I suck at names, dude. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna put it on the screen. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, she was fine. She's kind of just there to be the love interest, you know what I mean? Like, she doesn't really have a strong presence in this thing. And I don't think that's her fault. I think the script just doesn't have a lot to do for Shelley or for Eric or really for everybody in this fucking movie, man. Like, no one has anything to do in this movie. The main villain has like maybe 5 minutes of screen time, and genuinely, really, I'm speaking from like the heart right now. I think this is the worst villain that we've gotten all year so far. Genuinely. I don't know. I mean, Cassandra Nova was bad. The guy from Madam Web was real bad. I don't even remember this fucking thing's name from the Ghostbusters Frozen shit stack. But the main villain in this movie, oh my god, is somehow worse than all of these. Because he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything. And you can argue that none of these villains do anything in their fucking movie. But this guy actually doesn't do fucking anything. Like, okay, picture this, right? Picture this. The very first scene that we get with our main villain is just him expositing to a girl that he's kidnapped. And he's like, you know, I've killed countless of innocent people just like you over the hundreds of years that I've been alive. And it's like, dude, what the fuck? Who talks like that? That's his opening dialogue. Instead of just, I don't know, letting the audience learn things about the character, you know, learn that he likes to kill innocent people, learn that he's been alive for hundreds of years, you know, through action, through things, right? Instead of just letting the scene play out and seeing him do whatever the fuck he's gonna do to the kidnappee, they just tell you right away. He walks on screen and he's like, hey, by the way, I'm like immortal and I love killing people, by the way. That's me. I'm the villain, in case you didn't know. Like, what are we doing, guys? Again, one of the cardinal sins of screenwriting is telling and not showing, right? Ideally, you want to show things rather than tell things. It's just more engaging that way. But this movie doesn't give a fuck about any of that. And again, the main villain has 5 minutes of screen time. I wish I was kidding. I'm not. It's horrible. He sucks. He's got a henchman lady as well, like his right-hand man, I guess, that does a lot of his dirty work, and she gets more screen time than he does somehow. They even try to give this lady like a little arc and some semblance of character development to the sidekick of the main villain. The main bad guy has less to do than the fucking grunt. Whatever. Anyway, moving on. I need to move on. I think my biggest gripe with this movie, though, above all else, is that it's just not believable. I don't buy anything that's happening. I don't buy the romance between our two leads, and that's largely due to the movie barely developing them as characters. I mean, we legit don't know anything about Eric. He's just a guy. You'd think we'd actually learn shit about him over the course of the movie, you know, like a normal movie would, but shockingly, you fucking don't, dude. It's so bizarre to see a movie where the main character is not even really a character. He's so bland and so lifeless, and there's nothing going on with him, man. And when Shelley eventually fucking dies, right, she bites it, and he goes on a warpath to avenge this lady, it's just not believable. You don't buy their romance, which is insane to me, because this movie devotes so much time between the two of them. We get tons and tons of exchanges, you know, lines of dialogue like, have you ever loved anyone? Never. Laugh now, cry later? Nah, I'm more of a cry now, cry later kind of guy. If I jumped off a bridge, would you jump with me? Of course. So much of this movie is devoted to lovey-dovey nonsense between Eric and Shelley, and that's fine, right? I'm not against romance in movies, but you'd think you'd understand why he cares so much about her with all this screen time that it's taking up, but you don't. Again, I don't know if the original film did it differently, or if it's different in the comics. I'd imagine not, but the fact that he's unable to die because of the fact that he's so sad and his soul cannot rest because of his pure love for Shelley is so corny to me. Though, listen, I mean, aesthetically, the Crow is like a goth, you know, who's got a hard exterior, but he's actually just a sad boy looking for love. It's like if The Cure wrote their own comic book character, basically. That's kind of what I see this character as, like, I guess aesthetically, maybe thematically. I don't fucking know. I think that's what they're going for. It doesn't mean it's not corny to me, okay? Like, a radioactive spider bite is just more believable to me than being so sad that you can't die. But then that gets me thinking, right? Why doesn't Shelley resurrect too? Why doesn't she turn into a crow? Was her love not pure enough for him? Did she not care enough as much as he did? Maybe instead of attempting to remake a classic, They should have gone with an anthology route or something, where a different person gets the crow's powers instead of Eric. Why is Eric the only crow dude? Are there other people who resurrect because of their like pure love and their sadness for someone else or whatever the fuck? I don't know. The movie will never tell you. It's just not believable because of it doesn't make sense. And the believability factor isn't at all helped by the main villain. The movie keeps telling you, beats you over the fucking head how big and bad the villain is. But they've only got 5 minutes of screen time, and 4 of those minutes is them sitting in chairs in random rooms. Literally random rooms. What's happening? Can he do anything? They don't even have footage of this guy in the trailer doing fucking anything. He's just sitting in chairs. I don't believe that he's a scary villain. I don't even believe any of his motivations, which frankly, he severely lacks any and all motivations to begin with, but remember when I mentioned earlier how I thought the editing was iffy at the beginning of the movie? Well, it started off small like that. You know, it had me thinking, oh, the opening was a little weird. It was edited strangely, but maybe it's like going for a certain style. It's just like an intro thing. Let's keep this going, right? Let's see what happens. But then it just kind of keeps going, right? The editing is still weird, and then it gradually builds and builds to the point where it feels like entire scenes are just missing from the edit. If I could at all maybe try and explain what I mean here, let's take this scene from Spielberg's E.T., for example, right? Elliot is sleeping outside. He meets E.T. for the first time, and he approaches him, building tension, right? Now imagine this in The Crow. The scene has setup, he's building conflict, it's building and building, and then it'll just do this. We'll just flash forward without even having a payoff for the previous scene. Like, wait, what? What the fuck? E.T.'s in the house now, and Elliot's luring him around with Reese's Pieces? Like, what the fuck's going on? How do we get here? In the actual scene, when E.T. first meets Elliot, it's kind of scary. He slowly approaches him, and tension's building, and then there's a release. E.T. likes the candy, and Elliot notices that he likes the candy, and so which then leads us to this. He's in the house now. A new scene, a new conflict, new tension, new resolution. Oh, he's in the room now. Oh, now what do we do? There's an alien in the room. New conflict, right? Every scene and every movie is basically this. Setup and payoff. Building drama, building tension, singing songs and dancing. I don't know, whatever the fuck is going on in the movie, right? And then you release to then build back up again in the next scene, right? Conflict, resolution, progression. You want your scenes to progress the movie in some way, right? Please, fucking please. Progression is good. But you also want to see how your characters are progressing. How are they coming to these conclusions? How are they figuring things out? You want to see that. But The Crow is mostly made up of conflict and then progression. There isn't much resolution here, and because of that, the movie feels weird to follow along with. There wasn't a strong sense of propulsion to the plot for me, you know, like this forward motion. And because of that, it felt less like I was on this adventure with Eric and more like I was just watching things happen. It's like, you know, how did our characters come to that conclusion? Where are we now? How do we get here? Why are we doing this? I don't know. I can't explain it any better than this, man, okay? It's just weird. This movie's weird, and not a good weird, dude. It's a bad weird. I mean, when your movie's principal photography finishes like years ago and it's being released now, it's kind of like a red flag. But, okay, there is actually some light at the end of the tunnel here. Maybe there is a god, because there's one good scene in the third act of this movie that actually utilizes the powers of the Crow. You know, his inability to die. He's getting stabbed with swords, and, you know, he's using the sword stuck in his stomach to then stab people. You know, he's jumping on people with the sword on him. Like, it's goofy, it's fun, it's bloody. There's a pulse all of a sudden to this movie. Holy shit, the resurrection is working. But only the Crow could have a negative that comes with its only fucking positive. As cool as this scene is, it's so tonally disconnected from the rest of the movie. The whole movie takes itself so seriously, and then you have this goofy, almost slapstick scene just appears on the screen during like this opera, and there's opera music playing, and it's just, the tone is so strange. I just don't know. The editing's weird, tone is weird. I don't know. I really hated watching this movie. It's not fun. It's not a fun movie. It's not. I've said too much. This video has gone on for too long. Why am I even still talking about this movie? I concede. I give up. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. What? How?